There's one mistake that ES Tunis keep making, and if Chelsea spot it, this game could be over in a heartbeat. They've got a few strengths that make them a real threat, but it's those same strengths that create the opening for us. As you can see, we've got the two teams lined up here. Chelsea in our standard 4-3-3, but also kind of a 4-2-3-1, and ES Tunis in this 4-4-1-1 variation of the 4-4-2 that they've been using in this tournament. Now, I think both teams will stay largely the same as they kind of been playing in this competition, but there are a few changes which I'll briefly go over before we talk about the tactics here. First of all, Malagusto in at right back for Chelsea. Reece James is ill and didn't train, so I don't think he will play. Lavia comes into the centre. I think he's really, really important for something that we're going to talk about later with this ES Tunis team and how they play. And for ES Tunis, there's a change too, a couple of them that I've made. First, Jan Sasa comes in on the right flank. I think that he's been really, really good for them when he came off the bench in that previous game, so I've put him in instead of his counterpart. And Jabri has also come into this kind of centre forward position because Belaili, their main goal scorer, has been suspended for accumulation of yellow cards. So there's a few kind of changes, but I don't think the teams are going to play particularly differently. Obviously, we saw a lot of experimentation from Enzo Maresca in that previous game. I think in this one we're going to move to more of a natural kind of Chelsea team that we're more used to seeing. And as for ES Tunis, I think they're going to play the same way regardless of what kind of team they put out here because they have one kind of strategy, one philosophy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Firstly, let's talk about their strengths, and I'll show some in-game examples of these strengths as well. First of all, they are very hardworking, tenacious, and they love to use a high press. Their entire motive and their entire game plan when they are against these types of teams that like to have a lot of possession like we are, is that when we have the possession in our kind of own third, they'll press really, really high up the pitch and try and unsettle the opposition players with all of their kind of their entire lines moving forward here. And what they aim to do is set traps. They kind of want to push you in a certain direction so they can win the ball in kind of wide areas. They like to cut the ball out in wide areas or get it with Ogbello. He's another one who gets the ball quite a lot from the midfield. If we try and force play through the midfield, they can get the ball, and once they win the ball back, they quickly transition into attacks down onto the flanks, and then try and cut in and get shots off, or play the ball into Rodriguez or what have you. They're very, very good at doing this, and it's the reason why they were so successful against LAFC in their last game is that they kept setting these traps over and over again and beat them by just forcing them into mistakes. Obviously, hand in hand with that is very, very good transitional football. They're very, very good at not having a lot of the ball, but making the most of it when they do get the ball. As soon as they win the ball back, as I said, they spring transitions really, really quickly. But it's not just from them actually winning the ball as well. It's actually also when they just kind of are given the ball in their own kind of third here, when they've been attacked for a long time and they regain the ball, they don't like to sit back and keep the ball. They actually like to spring on you really, really quickly and progress the ball fast with either quick passing or long direct balls from the goalkeeper up to Rodriguez here, who is a very good hold-up player and he can bring other players in. And when they kind of do this, is again, it's a way of completely alleviating and kind of getting around, circumventing the midfield of teams because they don't have the greatest individual quality in their side. But what they do have is a really good team spirit, a very good kind of collective, and they all know what they need to do for each other, and they all fight for each other in that midfield area and up further up the pitch as well when they're trying to win the ball off of defenses. Alright, in this first example, we're going to show a really good example of these traps that they set and of this counter-attacking football. Obviously, we have LAFC in the white here, we have ES Tunis in the red and yellow, and the ball is going towards the LAFC player here. And watch the reaction of the players. Now, I've slowed this down so we can kind of see it as this ball comes in. He's going to take the ball, obviously, and they're going to try and put the squeeze on. At the moment, this isn't too much of a high press yet. But watch what happens when the ball goes backwards to the kind of defensive line. You can already see a lot of the players are already making their way up. Obviously, here's the defensive line is quite high already. They're going to get a little bit further forward. This two-man midfield that we saw in the tactics board, they're coming up the pitch. And then we have this main four up top that like to do this press, and obviously we have one of the fullbacks up here as well to kind of put the squeeze on this player. Now, eventually the ball is going to go back to Lloris in goal, and he's going to play it onto this centre back. And watch the reaction of the ES Tunis players as soon as this goes out to this guy. As soon as he gets the ball, we see Rodriguez here, the number 9. He's going to go press him. We see this player on the right hand side, their right winger, ready to kind of intercept any ball that goes out to this player out here wide. And the midfielder here is already coming to put a squeeze onto this player because they know that this is where the two kind of avenues out from here are. They either have to go backwards, which doesn't get them any progression, or they have to play it infield to this midfielder or outside to this guy or over on the left hand side. Now, as this ball goes into the midfield here, up to that player, the pressure comes on. And because, again, the pass is a little bit laboured, let's say, it's not as kind of pacey as you'd expect it, and the player has to kind of recover this. But the right winger is going to put on a lot of pressure here immediately. And from this, the whole kind of ES Tunis side has trapped them into this side of the pitch. They can't really get out of here. Unless this player does something absolutely magical and somehow ends up getting the ball out this way, which is a little bit difficult with the pace of the ball not being the most, they are going to squeeze them into the touchline and eventually force them to give the ball away. As we play on here, the pressure comes in. There's still more pressure. This player tries to get it to his teammate here, but it's just there because there's nowhere else really to go. He can't play the ball backwards to this player, or he'll play it straight to Rodriguez. He can't play it inside to this player because it's going to do what exactly happens here. And as the ball goes on now, there's a tackle in the midfield. It falls to Rodriguez. And of course, from here, they're going to get an opportunity at goal with a very easy pass and then shot. Unfortunately for them, obviously the shot is not actually the greatest in the end. Ball comes to Belaili, I think this is, and he takes the strike on, but Lloris is good enough to save it. But again, really good example of them setting those traps, winning the ball back, springing the counter attack really quickly. And you can't actually see it here because it's cut off, but this is in the 4th minute of the game that they're doing this, right? Immediately from the offset, setting the tempo, not letting them settle, not letting them be able to play the ball forward from their kind of defensive areas, and really punishing them. And in a way, if they did score this goal, they would have set the precedent of, okay, this is what the game is going to be like for the rest of the game. Now, this second example is literally only a few minutes after that previous example that we just shown. It's at 9:09 on the clock at the moment, and the number 30 here is trying to kind of keep the ball. As we can see, we've already got this. You can see from the kind of body language of the players that obviously this player here is trying to put the squeeze on. This player here is going to be putting the squeeze on. This player here is already kind of moving back to stop this pass. And obviously LAFC are trying to go this way. They want to go this way. Obviously this is where their forward players are. Again, high line from the ES Tunis back line. Very high near the centre circle. So they're kind of putting the squeeze on. As this player kind of collects the ball, he's going to be under so much pressure from these two players that he can't really figure out where he needs to go, right? He can't think about where he needs to pass this ball to get out safely quick enough, because there isn't enough time for him to do this because they've squeezed him so quickly. So eventually what he's actually going to do is just give the ball away. He gets tackled by two players. And then from here, immediately you see the reaction of Belaili here. He is immediately seeing that the ball's been taken away. He knows that this is going to happen. He knows this is the way that his team likes to play. He's off on his bike already, asking for this pass in behind. His teammate obliges. It goes through to him, and he's going to run on goal here and try and get a shot off. Obviously, I can't show the whole clip, but from here, he gets the ball to the edge of the box. He's going to take a strike, and unfortunately, again, another case where he doesn't really get the finish right, but there we are. In fact, the ball actually ricochets off a defender and goes back to Rodriguez here, I think, on the edge of the box, and he's the one who takes the strike in the end. That hits the post, actually, so very close. Again, another situation less than 10 minutes into the game where they could have been 2-0 up, just off of that pressure, off of those traps, off of that good tenacious work from them and that hard working attitude, and then that counter-attacking, that really quick counter-attacking mentality. In this third example, this comes from a slightly different situation as well, because this is actually in the second half, and this is from a throw-in. They're going to be taking the throw-in here. The ball's obviously coming into this player. And again, watch the reaction of the ES Tunis players. As soon as this ball is thrown in, and it goes to this player here, there's a squeeze immediately from one of the defenders. And this is the interesting thing, right? Because we see this really high line from ES Tunis. Like, they don't need to be this high up. Usually teams, when teams get kind of a throw in here on this left hand side, they would like to kind of drop back, you know, settle their men across the box here, have their midfielders here, and kind of wait for them to kind of, you know, put loads of bodies behind the ball, so then it forces your team, the team, to go backwards and then recycle possession and not actually go in and attack you. ES Tunis don't do this. They say, no, you know what, we're stepping up, we're putting our midfielders in the middle so you can't get the ball, and as soon as this comes into him, again, what's going to happen is he's going to be pressured to play the pass. The pass is cut out by the number 10. This is Jan Sasset on the right hand side, who's going to win this ball. and he obviously steps in, takes the ball, and immediately it's not a matter of, okay, we've got the ball now, let's, let's sit on our laurels, let's rotate possession, keep the ball. He says, no, we're going forward. Plays it up to his midfield man here, who holds up the ball very, very well, flicks it around the corner, and then they're going to break from here. Obviously, again, the LAFC team have already kind of committed their men forward up here, obviously with the throw in to try and get the kind of attack going, and immediately, and I don't think you can actually see this off the unfortunately because it's kind of cut off here, but their players are all sprinting, they're all a full stride sprinting to get in behind here, knowing that this counter attack is coming. As the ball comes into again Jan Sasa, they're going to try and play this ball up to their strikers, and again they get the same situation before. Ball comes into the striker, he's gonna hold up this ball really well, and this is fantastic football in general. Not even just talking about transitional football. This is just fantastic football in general, and a very, very poor defending from the LAFC, who are all kind of stuck here in their own little bubble. And you can already see what's going to happen here, can't you? You can tell from the position of all these front three players. This player is completely ignored, absolutely free. This player can see him clearly. This player is holding up the ball. It's simple. Back to him, and he can easily play the pass through. And this is a phenomenal pass in general. I will show the pass here. What first touch ball immediately from him cuts the entire LAFC defense in half, gets it up to Jan Sasset, and again he's going to take a strike on, and unfortunately he doesn't score in the end of this. But again, another really big danger moment for LAFC. They got let off so many times because of these situations. Now this final example is really interesting because this actually comes from ES Tunis defending a corner, I believe this is, in their kind of in the late stages of the game. It's about 6 minutes until the 90. The ball has been cleared from this corner, and they're going to hold the ball up really well here and break immediately as well. Again, this is a different style of transitional football, but they're so good at doing it, regardless of whether it's from a long ball, as I said, with hold-up play, or if it's from winning the ball back in the midfield. They immediately decide, you know what, we're going on attack. And this is great because you can see the ball has obviously gone out. You can see that some of the players are kind of trying to get out, and again the defense is trying to get up high immediately, try and get that high line so they can get their counter press going, so they don't allow the LAFC players to kind of drift in behind them and get the ball or what have you. But it's the reaction of this player that I think really sums up them as a team. It's like he's immediately just seeing this ball even going up over here, not even seeing that his man is going to win this. He doesn't know he's going to win this. He just expects him to win this and anticipates that, and already going to start going on his bike to try and get up the pitch here. As he wins the ball, it does fall to him. He's going to take a touch, good touch as well. And he's going to burst past his man here and get going against a complete free, kind of into the free grass here, and start striding on to go get that counter attack. He gets the ball out to his man on the left wing, and again, you can see the same situation is going to happen. The LAFC players are sprinting back, trying to get back, and obviously they've committed bodies forward because they're trying to get back into the game. They're obviously 1-0 down at this point after Belayli's goal earlier in this half. And as they kind of committed players forward, it lends into ES Tunis's hands even more, because now they can play this really, really horrible style of football that everyone hates to play against, that classic Leicester City title winning side thing where they keep really pragmatic and they play the ball long and they get these counter-attacking football going. And again, what's going to happen here is pretty common. He's going to play this ball in behind, and they're going to get another opportunity from one of these counter-attacks. It's a long ball that goes all the way over the top, completely fools Eddie Segura here, and it's going to fall 3 to, again, Jan Sasa, who was, again, really, really good in the second half, and that's part of the reason why I put him into my starting 11 for them. I think he was really, really good, and he's going to get another opportunity at goal here. He's going to cut onto his left foot and get another strike away. And again, it's unfortunate because his shot at the end of it is actually quite poor. If his shooting improves in the game against us, we could be under some real trouble here if they're able to do this against us. As you can see from the examples, they've got the right ideas, right? They know kind of what they need to do. They understand what they have to do to make these openings, but they do execute one thing in particular relatively poorly, and that's this high line that they play when they do this. And I'm going to show some examples of this as well. In the LAFC game, they got really, really lucky to be saved by offside. There was so many times where they would step up really high, whether that's because they're pressing or because they're on the ball, and the players would not get back quick enough. The ball would go in behind them from a pass or what have you, and then someone like Bouanga on the left hand side, or Giroud, who was kind of running through sometimes and being able to be that target man. They would keep getting the ball in behind. Obviously, Martinez on the right hand side was also doing this, and they kept getting loads of openings. Now I said the offside flag saved them quite a lot of the time. Also, Ben Said as well in goal did very well in the game. He was arguably man of the match, especially after his penalty save late on. And he did really well to stop them from getting goals, but they kept getting these chances against them, and it's because of how they kind of play quite brave in a way, and it's sometimes bravery can be kind of misconstrued as foolishness, and I think that that's kind of what this is at times. Now we're going to show a few examples of that high line that they like to play, but also kind of not just the high line. That's not the main issue. The main issue is the fact that they don't really track runners in behind very well either, and they kind of rely on that offside trap to do the defending for them at times. Now, LAFC are going to be getting the ball here in the midfield. There's actually going to be some good hold-up play and good shielding from the midfielders to actually get past them here from their pressure. And obviously the ball is going to be eventually played in here for Denny Bouanga on this left-hand side. You see he's already sprinting on his way to kind of go in behind. This line is really high. They don't need to be here, in truth. They can, again, they're a team that likes to concede possession. They had about 40% possession in this game, I believe. They can drop back into this box and have their kind of line of midfield in front of them as well to be extra pragmatic here. But they don't do that. They play really high, and they're going to kind of concede a chance here off of this. Now, unfortunately, what kind of ends up happening is that a player actually kind of gets in the way of the number 6's pass here for Denny Bouanga, and it eventually ends up with it being offside. I'm not actually sure if this initial pass goes through to Bouanga and it doesn't get the little flick on if he stays onside, but however, the ball is going to eventually go through to him. Again, left-footed ball in behind. He might be offside here, I'm not sure. But this is kind of, you see how static they are in their line. They're not trying to track this run at all. And again, one of the fullbacks has gone really high to not even kind of track the other side. The ball could have gone this way in truth. But the ball does go to Denny Bouanga. And of course, this flick that gets on from Giroud, I think this is going to obviously result in the offside flag going up. But he goes through, and if there's a bit of a better finish from Denny Bouanga here, he tries to dink the goalkeeper, and Ben Said makes a really good save. If he gets a better finish here around the goalkeeper, then they get punished for it. And again, if the offside flag doesn't go up, they get punished for it. Just a bit of a warning sign for ES Tunis that they can't constantly rely on that offside trap. They can't constantly rely on just expecting teams to not make a better timed run, because a better team than LAFC, because they are not the greatest side, a better team than LAFC, like Chelsea for example, with players like Delap and Neto and Cucurella who make those kind of runs in behind, right? They are going to time them better, and they're going to have better finishes than this as well, so they're going to get punished for it. Now this is another example of a situation that comes from, again, this ES Tunis backline being way too high. The ball's come out to Martinez on this right-hand side, and in fact, this actual pass that goes up to Martinez in the initial phase of this kind of attack is what gets flagged for offside eventually, but it's going to be another case of the ball going in behind this backline and them just really not reacting to it, and they actually get a goal from this, which is obviously then ruled out for offside. So, ball goes out to Martinez here. The ball is going to be played to the edge of the box to the number 11 here. And again, you can already see this player's on his way to make this run in behind. And no one's really kind of, tracking him at all. They're kind of looking at the ball and where the ball is. They're all kind of focused on the ball. They're not tracking the runners. They've still, as I said, now they've kind of backed off a little bit, so it's not as egregious as the other ones. But again, it's the failure to track this runner that's going to eventually be the downfall here. Now, unfortunately, you actually can't see the player that I'm pointing to here, but I'll show him in a second as he kind of runs into the box here. And this could be a run from someone like Cucurella, who makes a runs from this side. This could be Pedro Neto, as I said, who likes to make runs from the left side. Obviously, Liam Delap does it on the opposite side, but it's an example, obviously, of this kind of run in behind that we'd like to do quite often. And if this player, again, he's now going to make that move, he's going to get past the ball through the line. It goes straight through, and again, 1v1 with the goalkeeper. Should do much better here. He should really be finishing this. This absolutely should be a goal. But again, Martinez is actually going to latch onto the save here and get the goal, but it's going to be ruled out for that initial pass later on kind of earlier on in the move. As we kind of move over to here, you can actually see again, this is the high line they play. And he's drifted offside here, and he really shouldn't be drifting offside. A smarter winger won't be drifting offside in this situation. A better winger, a more quality side in general, wouldn't be doing this with their two highest players. They wouldn't be getting like completely offside, this far offside. If the pass obviously comes a little bit earlier, then they concede here. The only other flaw that I can kind of point out about them is that sometimes, because obviously they put in a lot of work, they do slow down after doing a kind of intense press. And if they start doing the press a bit lazily, they can be played around. Now, this is part of the reason why I've put Lavia in this system for us, is because he is very, very good at dealing with pressure. If it's high pressure, then he can deal with it. But one thing he's really fantastic at as well is that if the press does come to him and it's not really, really intense and it's kind of half-hearted in a way, he can play it straight through the middle and get players involved and then get us on the counter attack on our own transition. And obviously balls like this, for example, from Palmer in behind for Delap, who will be running through, that type of thing is a real danger for a team like this that likes to play this high line. And if they don't put all of their kind of effort into the press all the time, we will be able to find avenues that way. Now I'm going to show an example of what I mean when I say that a lazy press and a half-hearted press will be their undoing as well, because we saw this in the Flamengo game, right? And when I was doing my analysis on Flamengo for our game against them, I said how the ES Tunis kind of side were pretty lackadaisical in the first half and they didn't really try and press, and Flamengo just played it around them like they weren't even there. Obviously they kind of improved in the second half and then got that kind of back to this style that we know they can play, with that high aggression, high kind of winning the ball back mentality. But in this game too, they even in this game too, they had a bit of a slip up here, which I'll show you. And again, this is the type of thing they cannot do against Chelsea because of how good we are at playing away from pressure. And this isn't even that far into the half. This is only 16 minutes or 16, 17 minutes into the first half. And what they're going to allow LAFC to do is play it out from the back really, really easily and actually concede a chance off the back of it. Now, the ball's going to go out to the right back here. And again, this player is making an attempt to get back to press, but it's not, you know, you can tell the intensity of this press isn't as much as the ones we've kind of shown already in this kind of video, right? So he's going to make a half-hearted press and he's not really going to put any pressure on. And again, this player who, for all intents and purposes, if this was the same kind of, you know, same mentality as the earlier clips, he would be getting in front of this guy here and not letting this pass happen and kind of forcing them to go back to the goalkeeper. In fact, what he does is he kind of switches off here. He doesn't actually really anticipate this ball going into the middle, and he's not really making an effort to get the ball from this kind of pass. And it's going to go ahead of him to this player, and they're going to break on them, do a little bit of give them a little bit of their own medicine here, with LAFC breaking up the pitch. Now, obviously, he's going to get the ball up to Giroud, yeah, who's going to hold up the ball here, and eventually the ball's going to go out, left to Denny Bouanga. And again, you can already see from here, and I know this is on a counter attack, so it's not as kind of much of a glaring mistake, but the back line of ES Tunis is so high. It's so high. They're like up here near the centre circle, and they should have, as soon as this pass has gone into the midfield and this player is kind of driven past midfield, they should be sprinting to get back. They shouldn't be kind of, again, they're trying to do this counter press. We see one player here trying to press Giroud. Really hard to press Giroud. He's so good at holding up the ball. These players are coming back to try and press him, and they're committing into this kind of area. And obviously this is one of the centre backs that's actually stepped up to kind of press him here, and it leaves them exposed because they haven't gotten back quick enough. And again, the ball is just going to go out here to Denny Bouanga, and we're going to show something kind of interesting here. Now, Denny Bouanga is usually a player that likes to go onto his right foot and kind of cut inside, so maybe that's what they're expecting here. And that's why this kind of defending isn't good enough. But watch this again, as he kind of gets up the pitch here, he is going to play in a left-footed cross. And we can see, again, the back line hasn't dropped deep enough already. They haven't dropped deep enough for this ball to go in. They probably don't expect it to go in, to be fair. They're probably expecting him to cut inside and then play the ball on his right side. So maybe that's not why that's kind of why they haven't gone back. But again, they're really, really high on the edge of their own box. And Giroud, we know how good Giroud is in the air. He's obviously going to make this run into the box. And again, he's not particularly tracked fantastically from the number 5 here. The ball's going to go into the box. And though Giroud's not actually going to get on the end of this, because he doesn't actually he tries to stoop down to get it and doesn't really get the touch, it's actually going to fall all the way to the back post to Martinez, who, again, if he has a better finish here, and he actually knocks this wide, if he has a better finish here, this is an easy tap-in. He's got all of this side of the goal to aim for, and he just doesn't really get there. And obviously Ben Said is not going to save this, despite how good he played. He's not going to save this at this kind of proximity and this angle. If Martinez has a better finish here, that's a goal. 100%, easy peasy. Again, just another example of that high line being able to be exploited, and them also kind of at times being a bit lazy. If they are lazy, we can exploit that too. Overall, if Enzo Maresca sets us up to exploit this weakness, I think we'll find this game relatively easy. This is not the greatest opposition in truth in terms of the individual quality, so we should be expected to win here, but stranger things have happened, and obviously we lost in our last game to Flamengo. We cannot take any of these games for granted. That being said, a draw would be enough here for us to go through to the next round, so if we don't win, it's not the end of the world, but let's get the 3 points. Let's kind of make this a professional performance and show why we're in this competition for in the first place. Now, I'll be doing a live watch along for this game later tomorrow. Obviously, this game is at a 2 AM kickoff tomorrow morning. I'll be streaming at 1:40 AM on that day. So if you don't want to miss out on that, do come through. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. It really helps out the channel. And for more content like this, subscribe so you don't ever miss a video. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever. And remember, football can be as simple as black and white.
Something ain't right, I'm drowning in the ocean. I'm still alive, but I feel the fall in my ocean. I lost the fight and now I'm finally floating, but I still try to hide my emotion. Who am I in pieces? I've been broken. It's black and white, but my eyes